Hello and welcome back. I want to start a new little series of videos about weekend projects. And today this will be the first one, and in this one I want to go ahead and I want to build a 3-color extruder from existing parts that I have lying around in my lab. And I will be doing it with this so-called diamond extruder. I got this really cheap, I think from Deal Extreme. I haven't done anything with it yet, except basically look at it and try to figure out what it's like. And I want to start off and try and get this to work within a 2-day time period. So let's have at it. Okay, to start everything off, let's have a look at what we want to do. The basic setup that I'm trying to go for is I want to change what a normal extruder would be doing using a ramps board and a single stepper driver, and I want to modify this so instead of one stepper driver with one extruder, I want to have this thing driven, which has 3 extruders, and I want to do it using 3 steppers. I already went ahead and I built stepper drivers, and I got all the parts because that would just break the time frame. But it's Saturday, about let's see, 2 p.m. and let's start out with the extruder driver, and let's have a look at what we're trying to accomplish here. The basic setup is that we have one stepper driving one extruder, and we're going to 3 steppers, and also driving one extruder. Now, the basic thing that one stepper is doing is it is just issuing steps. So you will always see step number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'll either have a step for each and every one of them if it is using one stepper. Now, if we want to use 3 steppers and we want to have color mixing involved, we need to do something a little different. For example, if we were to have a single color on stepper 1, we would just issue 6 steps to stepper 1, which would be exactly the same as if we were using one stepper. But if we wanted to mix all 3 colors, we would go ahead and do it like this. That was wrong. And in the end, we would have 6 steps divided over 3 steppers, and if those are the same with the same material flow, we would actually be coming out with the same amount of filament being pumped into one extruder as it was before that. So this is the design that I'm going for. I'm going to remove the stepper driver, I'm going to hook it up to an Arduino, and I'm going to have the Arduino divide the steps up according to selected colors, and I've basically gone for about 12 different mixing patterns, which is each and every one of the steppers by itself, all three of them, and a 50-50 and 60-6-30 mix of two steppers. So that's the design, and I do have this testing board, which includes my new stepper driver, which has 3 steppers on it. And I looked at some of the software, and I did some changes to this board, because now it has an extra pin on the serial RX line, and it has a connection to a little bit of PCB, which has the same layout as a stepper driver with an A4988 on it. And the basic idea is to take this here and directly plug it into a ramps board, and like so. And if the ramps board issues any steps, I want this Arduino to basically take care of that and distribute it over 3 steppers. There's another serial line here, which is connected to the serial input of the small Arduino, and that will be going onto the serial receiver line of the Arduino on the bottom of here. So this Arduino hears the same commands given to the main Arduino, and if there is a special code for a color change in there, and I'm just going to use a either a non-working command, or I'm going to issue a command that doesn't change anything and just has some extra parameters, and that will change the color mixing. So that's the idea behind that. So far this seems to work out reasonably well. I prepared software. I prepared this software, which was very easy to write. I was quite impressed how easy it was. Let's have a look at how this works. Okay, it's like 3:30 p.m. now. I ran into a small problem, and the problem is pretty simple. My plan was to use an interrupt routine that uses a pin change interrupt on the small Arduino to be triggered by the interface from the ramps Arduino. But the problem is that if you use pin change interrupts on the Arduino on this side, and that is something which I've done wrong myself, I guess, because all the interrupt trigger, all the line ins on the Arduino here that have a dedicated interrupt have already been used for other things, so I needed to use the pin change interrupt, and the impulse that this thing is firing off is about 5 microseconds in impulse width, and the pin change interrupt is actually too slow to fire and save the resulting high state on the Arduino here. I was quite surprised that it's so slow. In the end, I went ahead and I just ignored the value that I'm reading here, so I can't discern between rising and falling flank. But that's not that important, because I will be getting one impulse, and there will be quite quite a large waiting time in between, and my interrupt service routine takes longer than 5 microseconds anyway, so I guess I'll be fine there. I programmed something on this that will just do a certain number of steps forward and backward on the first extruder, and if I plug this in, we can actually see that the first stepper is now moving. The reason for that is because the color mixing mode 0 is pre-selected on this, and it doesn't change that, so this is just a very simple tryout routine. So far for this, I did some reading in the meantime, and I figured out that I might have another problem, and the other problem is that this extruder here has a 24 volt heating element in it, so we're gonna have to remove that and put a 12 volt heating element in there. That's the next thing. Okay, the heating element in here is very easy to remove. It's not held in place by any heat conducting silicone or glue or anything, and I did manage to find a bag of heating elements which appear to be 12 volt. I really hope so. And I'm going to change out the one that is in here for one of these, and it should be a very simple job, I hope. So let's get some snips. I'm pretty impressed by the quality of this super cheap extruder. Oh, here we go. That was simple. That wasn't even held in place with a lot of force. And I suppose I should mark that so I don't put this into any of my other printers by mistake, because at 24 volts it's not usable with the 12 volt versions that I have. Let's zoom out a bit. Oops. I ordered these extra extruders a while ago while I was doing a very large test on different extruder builds. That was really interesting, because I didn't realize that depending on the build type of the extruder, you might get completely different results for different materials. I found that out when I printed, or when I tried to print wood some while ago. Oh, this thing is shorter. Ah. This element is shorter than this one, which could become a problem, but maybe not. No matter. This is just a weekend project, so we'll try it anyway. So here we go. New heating block, although a bit big. Might need to order another one, but I will try it out with this one. And I suppose this could work for a start. It won't be perfect, but I don't know if this is gonna work anyway, so let's just keep going. I did order some of these easy release PTFE tube holders, and the ones that came with this extruder, they've been drilled through. The reason for this is some extruders want the PTFE tube to go way into the extruder right until the sleeve of the heating block. So if we push extruder in here, it actually goes all the way down to the bottom. You need to make sure that you have the right type of quick release sleeve for the extruder type, because if this one was not to let the PTFE tube through, there would be a hollow segment in there where filament can sum up, or if the filament breaks in there, it's going to be clogged. But this should do now. Now the next part will be to assemble a working extruder pair and see if we can get everything connected up. So just for an experiment, I measured the resistance of the two elements because I didn't know what a 24 volt element had for resistance. So this here is the 12 volt element. And that one has a resistance of 3.4 ohms, which would give it a power of about, it's 12 volts. 12 volts squared is 144 divided by 3, which is somewhere in excess of 40 watts for the 12 volt. And this here's the 24 volt one. And that one has a resistance of 13 point something ohms, which would give it at 12 volts somewhere about 10 watts, which is definitely not enough. But it's nice to know if you need something with 10 watts of heating power, just use a 24 volt heating element. Okie dokie. So I have these extruder drivers that I built quite some time ago, and they're actually pretty good. and but they still need these quick release PTFE tube holders that screw right into the body here, and these are very good quality, by the way, but they are rather expensive. So let's get these in here. I haven't been able to do any testing with this. Oh, by the way, it's already Sunday. We were at a birthday party yesterday, which was was some way to get there, but it was a very nice party nonetheless. So that one is number 1. Number 2 is coming right up. And number 3. I still haven't figured out how to get the color changer to actually change the color it's using. For now, I will be inserting a useless command into the G code, which will be a G0 command without an X, Y, or Z axis, and I will simply append a Q and the number of the color that I want to use. That should be simple enough, and I'm pretty sure it won't confuse the Repetier firmware that I'm using. So, but that's just for the tryout now. I do think that this will be good enough, even for later on. Okay, so far this has gone reasonably well. Apart from the software problems that I was having, there hasn't been any showstopper so far. And I'm really interested in seeing this thing heat up and seeing if this will work, but before that I will cut the PTFE tubes to a reasonable length, and I'm gonna feed some filament in there so we can have some measurement if this is working correctly at all. And let's see what happens. Alright, I prepared filament and PTFE tubing, and I just realized that when I mounted the extruder drivers, I put the motor leads on the wrong side, but I'm just going to ignore that now. And I'll probably be mounting them on a piece of wood like so. So I can have them close to each other, and I can feed the filament easily, and I can just get to everything and I'll probably just hot glue that to a piece of wood or something. It would probably be possible to do it better, but I really want to get this done over the weekend, so it wouldn't be a weekend project otherwise. Oh, I'm gonna have to clear that one out. Huh. Haven't used these before. Oh yeah. So we need a small drill. Yep. I haven't used these extruders before, so they're not set up for real use. The height of the extruder driver needs to be set when they're put together, and I haven't done that yet. But it looks like this might be doable. Oops, that might have left a scratch. This here's the second one. And here comes number 3. Apparently I've used that one before because this is already set up pretty good. Or maybe not. Okay. Okay, now we have 3 extruders set up. It's a bit hard to see here. I'm gonna mark this because I need to measure it I need to measure the distance that gets pushed out to make sure that that we're not over extruding or clogging the extruder, things like that, because that wouldn't really be very productive. Okay, but we already have 3 steppers, 3 Bowden tubes, we have filament for testing in here. We can tighten this down a bit so extrusion actually happens and it's not just spinning the steppers. And the control board appears to be okay. I did some tweaking on the software in the meantime, and whoopa. Yeah. Oops, here we go. And I've slimmed it down quite a bit. Let's see. Sorry for that brief intermission. This board was giving me unnecessary pain, so I went ahead and I put the controller and all the steppers on a new board and fastened that down. That should make testing it and working on it a lot easier. And it also looks really nice. So steppers are mounted. The PTFE is done. I suppose it might be time for a little test. So what do we need? We need power for the Arduino. So for these things I always use these little power bricks. They're very versatile, and they can power an Arduino for over a day. So this one is started. We need to get our second Arduino and connect our stepstick alternative. We don't need the serial for now. We need power for this, and oh yeah, we'll just use the smoothie maker, finger chopper, whatever mutilation machine that also works as a power bank. And that appears to work. Now we just need a big battery to drive the steppers. For that, motorcycle battery. And one of these should now start doing something, and I think it's this one. So one of these filaments should also start moving. And nothing's happening, and that is because I haven't actually set up the current for the steppers yet. I need to do that first. Just a second, I'll be right back. Alright, next try. We can see this looks good. So I'm expecting one of these filament leads to move backwards and forwards. Let's see what happens. Oh yes. This looks very nice. So it appears that for one color it's already working. Now, I don't know how far I'm going to test this out. Maybe we should move to a real 3D printer now. I'm going to get that set up. That might take a while. I'll do that now and be back when I'm done. So it's a bit later than I thought this would be. It's about, well, 6:30 or something. This is actually the first tryout with the extruder. I didn't mount it, I just placed it on the table. And if you can see this, I'm actually priming it with some simple filament, and you can actually see the extruders going to work here. The color change works. I had to change a few little things. I had Repetir host set to binary protocol, which of course didn't work since I wanted to capture the ASCII control codes. But you can actually see it's trying to print something that is supposed to be two color, and it's switching extruders just the way you would expect it to, and you can see it actually extruding pretty nicely. It's not perfect yet. I didn't set the currents for the motors yet. They're just basically trying to go as good as they can. I don't know if the temperature settings are okay yet, but we'll try to figure that one out. But for a start, you can actually see that it's working. The concept appears to be okay. I don't know if my car battery or motorcycle battery here is low on power now, because I've got the feeling that these motors should be a little bit stronger. But so far so good. I would say this Friday experiment, or weekend experiment, I'm sorry, worked out okay. And I'm going to try to make a mount for this multicolor extruder, so I can put it on the Rob, and then I'll try and see if I can print anything with it. So for a start, that's it for this weekend. Thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.